Live pictures of Mar-a-Lago. You can see the supermoon, last supermoon of the year, reflecting on the waves there. House Speaker Mike Johnson is scheduled to spend this weekend with President-elect Donald Trump. We spend a lot of time talking about the normies versus MAGA of the Republican Party. There's at least a small indication that that sort of breakdown could apply to Democrats. They're looking to Team Normal to bring them back from the extremes of the far left. Nothing is more normal than the hammer. Former Obama chief of staff and mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel. This week, he told Puck magazine that he knows how to fix the Democratic Party. Quote, Democrats need to put aside purity tests and find candidates who aren't afraid to piss off the language police and progressive scolds that seem to spook so many operatives in the parties. If you know Rahm Emanuel, that is him without salty language. Axios reports Emanuel might run for Democratic National Committee chair. He would have to bring together a party that currently is fighting amongst each other about fighting over each other. Axios reports the rank and file are now angry with Nancy Pelosi. She used to run things with an iron fist. She needs to take a seat. Quote, one Democratic leader said she needs to take a seat. Quote, making scattershot comments is not just unhelpful, it is damaging. Illinois Congressman Raj Krishnamurthy is with us now. Congressman, it is good to see you. Thank you. Rahm Emanuel was famous, perhaps, for one comment about crises. Take a listen.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Do Democrats have a serious crisis right now?
Well, I think we definitely have to figure out how to win again. Obviously, a lot of us did win. I won with 14-point margin here in the suburbs. But I think that what we need to do is focus on those economic problems that beset people. Right now, we are not connecting with people where they feel their most kind of pain, if you will, which is how do they achieve their economic aspirations, whether they are working poor or whether they're in the middle class or whether they're growing a business. We need to help them on climbing the up escalator of the economy.
Understood the economic issue, but there was something that Republicans tapped into culturally. And your point's taken. There were a lot of Democrats who won re-election by big numbers, fine. But in the city of Chicago, the vote moved 25 points to Donald Trump. He didn't have a chance in Chicago. But it's clear that across the country, in almost every county in America, became more red. That was because of economics, but there was a cultural part of this as well. Does Democrats have to change their messaging on that and be willing to do what Rahm Emanuel said when it comes to ignoring the language police? Sure.
And I think that people should be able to speak their minds as long as they do so respectfully. And I think my biggest observation, though, is that, you know, when you don't meet people where they are economically, they aren't really willing to go along with you on those cultural issues either. And so I think that first and foremost, we need to kind of address, you know, what ails them economically, not talk about, you know, how great our economy is relative to the rest of the world. People don't really care about that if they can't make ends meet.
Right.
First deal with that issue and then deal with the rest. Can I just take one example? One thing that I focused on quite a bit in my time in Congress and in this campaign, in this election cycle, is skills-based and vocational education. Working with Republicans, I helped to modernize our nation's vocational education system, which takes care of the 2/3 of Americans who aren't going to college. And that is an area where we Democrats need to focus a lot more attention and resources because we don't have a world-class.
I understand. I get that. And I think it's an important thing. But voters in the middle roundly rejected what you said, right? That President Biden kept talking about how great the worldwide economy is, and people were sitting there saying, I can't afford groceries. I don't care that we're doing better than Japan in GDP growth. But they want to hear a change from the economic message of Joe Biden. And what I'm trying to get at is in order to do that, don't you have to articulate what Joe Biden, what Democrats did wrong for the past 4 years if you're going to say we're now going to change it?
Yes, I think we have to kind of admit that it's not enough to talk about, for instance, slowing the rate of inflation. We have to talk about how do we lower the cost of living? How do you make sure that, for instance, healthcare and housing are more affordable so that people feel like, you know, they can attain their economic goals?
All right. Congressman, appreciate you being here. As always, thank you. You're always willing to discuss this. And boy, when it comes to skills-based learning, the vocational learning, that's one of the big differences we've seen in Republican and Democratic voters. The diploma divide. If you can get back working-class voters, that'll be something for Democrats. It's good to see you, sir. Have a great weekend.
One thing on that, Leland. The vast majority of people who voted did not have a four-year college degree.
Yep.
And the majority of them voted Republican in this election.
Could not have said it better myself, sir. It's good to see you. Thank you very much.